Hi, hello. Today we are going over two things. What does Stellar Terra type actually mean for Terra raid battles, and should you change your Arceus to the Stellar Terra type? Ever since the Indigo Disk was released, I've had a ton of people ask me daily on Twitch if Arceus with Stellar type was worth getting, and after testing last night, I have answers. Before we get to Stellar Arceus, let's go over Stellar type. You can collect Stellar Shards from the item printer machine in the club room. You can get Stellar Shards from completing the story, and finally there are an extra 50 Stellar Shards at the top of the disco ball in the dome. Because these shards are not easy to come by as of this video, that begs the question which Pokemon would benefit the most from being Stellar Terra type. Stellar works different in competitive battles than it does in Terra raid battles, so we are only going to talk about Stellar in Terra raid battles today. When you terrestrialize with Stellar, you will keep the same defensive typings, meaning there is no defense changes. To break that down and what that means, if you are an Arcanine and you Terra with Stellar Terra type, you are going to be weak to water, ground, and rock, because you were always weak to water, ground, and rock. If you are Mew and you are Terra Fire, when you terrestrialize, you are no longer weak to Dark, Bug, and Ghost because you are no longer Psychic. You are now weak to water, ground, and rock because you are now Fire type. Damage-wise, in raid battles, Stellar will give you 2 times the damage for same types and 1.2 times the damage for other types. This means that a Fire Terra Mew would have a 2 times boosted Flamethrower, but its other moves like Acid Spray would only be boosted 1.2 times. Ultimately, this is the same of how Terra works now with the 2 times boost, assuming that you are using moves that match your Terra type, like Fire Mew and Flamethrower, but with the added benefit of your other moves getting slightly boosted too. Let's say you had an Incineroar with Throat Chop, Bulk Up, Taunt, and Will-O-Wisp. There would not be a whole lot of benefits to using Stellar here, because you are only boosting Throat Chop the same amount with Stellar that you would with Dark-type Terra. That would be equal damage. But by becoming Dark-type Terra, Incineroar will lose its Fire typing, which would now make it weak to Bug-type, instead of it being neutral. But by only being Dark, you wouldn't be weak to Water anymore. Having Stellar on Incineroar would let it keep its original weaknesses, but it would do the same damage if it was using Throat Chop. The too long didn't read here is that Stellar Terra is extremely situational, and it means by default Stellar isn't the best type and that you shouldn't need all your Pokemon to be Stellar Terra type. So now let's talk about Arceus. Arceus is one of the best raid Pokemon in the game due to having a huge move pool and being able to change to any type before using Terra. Arceus has a 720 base stat total, and it gets access to both Judgment and Acid Spray, 2 moves that pair super well together. And it also gets access to moves like Snarl, Chilling Water, and even Light Screen and Reflect to control damage output. Now, the real obvious downside to Arceus is that it cannot hold a held item like Shell Bell or Assault Vest because it needs to be holding one of its plates. The other small downside is even though it can be any type by holding its plates, changing its Terra type to match that plate to get that 2 times damage boost can get expensive. The Teal'c DLC did reduce the Terra Shard grind by introducing the Glimmering Charm, but the Glimmering Charm isn't going to help us get Stellar Shards as of this video. This leads us to our final topic of today's video. Should you use your Stellar Shards on Arceus? My short answer is no. I did, and it's fine, but I don't think it's really worth it. On screen, you can see that we did Iron Bundle raids with Fire Terra type Arceus on the left side and Stellar type Arceus on the right side. And you can see that there's really no difference in damage. Why would there be? Both Fire type Terra Arceus and Stellar Terra type Arceus are both holding the flame plates, and they are both doing the same damage. They're both weak to water because they are holding the flame plates, and they both resist ice. While I would do slightly more damage with Acid Spray because of Stellar, you won't really see that damage difference very clearly on a raid boss that has 20 to 30 times its normal HP. I also lean more towards no because it's so much easier to get Terra Shards now, and once you change Arceus' Terra type to Stellar, you might not have enough shards to change anyone else's, and I just feel like there might be better uses for Stellar in raids or in competitive if you do go that route. If you have more than enough shards, I don't think it's a bad thing to change it, but Stellar Arceus isn't this amazing powerhouse that people believed for raids. The short of it is that you're not going to get your raids done any faster or easier, but the flipping the plates ends up being easier. Side note, my favorite Arceus build has been Grass due to Judgment, Acid Spray, and Giga Drain all working really well together. Giga Drain working really well with Acid Spray, and Judgment being a super strong move when you have full health. This combination solves the problem of Arceus not needing a held item like Shell Bell because of the recovery of Giga Drain. So until we get more Stellar Terra Shards, I think saving them for something else might be the better play, unless you absolutely love Arceus and you use it for everything. And if that's the case, I would go for it because it does make switching the plates easier. But understand it's going to be the same old llama god with a rainbow spinning around its head. And if that's worth it to you, I can understand.